Today, we are going to be talking about poverty. And by poverty, I don't just mean not having enough money. No, our topic today is time poverty. Imagine there's two identical people. They have the same skills and the same capabilities, but we are going to separate them. Person A can work for an income, get an education, and specialize their personal skills. This means that person A can contribute to the general society. Well, what's person B going to do? Person B has equally important jobs to do, jobs that need doing. Person B has to gather water, do the laundry, cook the food, and raise the children. Now, who do you think is the man, and who do you think is the woman? Across the world, women are much poorer when time poverty is taken into account. Not only is a woman's time valued less, but society places barriers from her utilizing her own time the same way as a man does. Women as a whole spend a lot more of their time in unpaid labor than men. Now, when you arbitrarily split up society into two halves and place barriers on one half from contributing, nobody wins. You lose out on half the population's ideas, perspectives, and efforts. When you make it difficult for half of the species to get an education, to work for an equal wage, to contribute ideas and industrial resources, society is the one that comes up short. In the words of Melinda Gates, everybody is better off when we are more fulfilled with our daily lives. Speaking of Melinda Gates, the concept of time poverty was brought up by her in the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation's annual letter. In this letter, they argue that the two solutions with the biggest impact for the future are clean energy and gender equality. Now, time poverty affects women differently along ethnic and racial lines as well. White women, for example, come closer to splitting up unpaid labor equally with their spouses, freeing up the woman's schedule and also having the men more involved in the work that it takes to maintain a household. Women of color, on the other hand, are not nearly as lucky. For example, in the Middle East, 75% of the male population has a job in paid labor, whereas only 23% of the female population does. Compare that to Europe and Central Asia, where 50% of the female population engages in paid labor, whilst the male statistic stays the same. Not only do women of color earn significantly less money than their male counterparts, they also have less time than their male counterparts to do paid labor. In India, women spend at least 6 hours a day in unpaid labor, whereas Indian men spend less than 1 hour. This isn't just about earning more money for oneself or for one's family. The ripple effects of this sexism extend to a woman's well-being and health. One of the first things that these women sacrifice in order to run a household is their own health. On top of that, if the husband passes away before the wife does, which men statistically are more likely to do in almost any part of the world, then this gendered economy makes it very difficult for a woman to earn the same money that her husband did, making her life extremely difficult after her husband passes away. Women in poverty often die very soon after their husbands due to poor health and malnutrition, as various employment opportunities are closed off to them or simply don't pay them the same way that they pay their husbands, and thus they are unable to make ends meet. Capitalism is not neutral when it comes to sex. Our world was built gendered, and the systems we've erected reflect that duality. A person's ability to contribute to society is affected by both their race and their gender, and we know very well that race and gender are deeply connected labels themselves. What can we do to solve this issue? The solution is bifold. The most important part of the solution is recognizing that in the 21st century, there is no advantage to restricting a woman's employment or education, nor is there anything degrading about a man contributing equally in the work required to run a household. Secondly, and this is where things get exciting, we can figure out fantastic new ways to make household work more efficient. We've already come a long way, with the washing machine and dishwasher to the vacuum cleaner and dryer. By making household work faster and more efficient, we clear up more time for both men and women to do the work they enjoy and can sustain their life. It is not up to us to decide what world we are born into, but we can decide which one we leave behind.